Hello, you're listening to an interview with Amanda Prestigiacomo of the DailyWire from episode 26 of the CatholicVote Radio Hour. Like and subscribe to the CatholicVote Radio Hour on YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play, and follow us at CatholicVote on Facebook and Twitter. I'm your host, Stephen Harriet. Thank you, Amanda Prestigiacomo, for joining me again on the Catholic Vote Radio Hour. We're talking with Amanda Prestigiacomo of the Daily Wire about Mike Pence's daughter's bunny, which is not gay. Isn't that right?
Yes, we don't know for sure, but yes, the bunny I think is straight.
I mean, bunnies are known for being sexually questionable.
Right.
And I think bunnies shouldn't be allowed in Christian homes for this reason, because they're apt to build a golden calf in the absence of Moses. So
yeah, I would agree with that. Yep. No bunnies totally for my future children. That's not extreme.
Amoral animals. It's just awful.
Yeah.
But just to catch up our listeners, this is what the left has been saying about Pence, is that he does think that gays are amoral animals and hates them. Mm-hmm. And if given half the chance, Pence will literally mow them down with a Tommy gun.
Right. Yeah, that's always the attack on Pence, that he wants to, kill all gays and, persecute anyone who's gay. And he has all this power, he's the VP, he has some sway and nothing's happening. So it's weird.
Yeah, I love this meme that has been going around of Pence, like Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. He's shooting laser lightning out of his fists at the LGBT people and trying to destroy, and also women.
Yes.
He wants to destroy women as well. But it's funny, Amanda, because this kind of proves the right-wing point, because the LGBT movement, their evidence that Pence hates the LGBT movement is not that he ever said anything against gays, but that he defended religious liberty.
Right.
That's the LGBT movement admitting that religious liberty is diametrically opposed to their agenda, which means that their agenda is anti-religious liberty. So the onus should be on them to explain why they are the authoritarians.
Right. This is actually Ellen DeGeneres, the happy-go-lucky anti-Christian bigot on Daytime all the time, a while ago, before gay marriage became the law of the land. She was just ripping on states that had these religious freedom laws. And it's asinine. How do you make this argument that someone has to be forced to bake a cake for a gay wedding? How is that freedom? And it's just, that's the only argument is, if you're not, with a rainbow flag officiating a gay wedding in the front of the parade, then you hate gays and you're against freedom and you want to discriminate and you want to kill everyone. It's a pretty crazy standard. So there's zero tolerance. The intolerance is on their side and not on the right.
Which, by the way, this all stinks a lot because I think Ellen DeGeneres is adorable and very funny.
She's not.
So
I mean, I'm sorry. I don't buy the appeal. I don't. I'm like the one person in America that thinks she's awful.
Oh, well, see, this is my problem, is that I'm always torn with entertainers when they enter politics, because almost all of them are leftists, but I'm an absolute lover of entertainment, and specifically and especially
stand-up. Ellen's
stand-up.
Not funny. I don't know where you're getting that. I just do think she's objectively not funny. So
you're wrong about most things, Amanda. That's okay.
This is not one of them, though, I'm telling you.
But anyway, so what we're getting back to right now, let's fill the listeners in. What we're talking about is Mike Pence, his daughter, wrote a children's book about the family bunny, which is the name of the bunny is Marlon Bundo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
So she wrote this children's book, and a portion of the proceeds is going to fight sex trafficking. It's just all going to charity. Karen Pence, the second lady, she did the illustrations for the children's book. It's pretty apolitical. It's just a day in the life of a vice president. She did illustrations, and she's also donating a portion of the proceeds to charities of her choice. This is a book for charity. It's a children's book. I repeat, a children's book about a bunny. Charlotte Pence, the 24-year-old who wrote the book, is apolitical. She lives in Hollywood. I think she wants to be a screenwriter or write stories or something like that, but she's very apolitical. She's probably a little bit more liberal than we would assume.
Right.
I'm guessing. For some reason, John Oliver, a late night host who purports to be funny himself, he decided that this would be what they should attack, or this is prime for the taking. A apolitical girl writing a children's book. So he did a spoof book, A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo, and it was basically a gay bunny who falls in love with another male bunny, And, the stink bug who looks oddly like Mike Pence, won't let them get married. Okay. That's like the whole premise of the book. And it's John Oliver going on a rant against Mike Pence. And this is really going to stick it to Mike Pence. And it's all very deceptive because he was actually on Ellen and they're talking about this rival book and how fantastic it is. And they're sticking up for LGBT people. And the whole time they're talking about the book as if Mike Pence wrote it. It's Pence's book. It's his book. That's how they're framing it. It's not. It's his daughter's book.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. She's somehow on limits. If this were Chelsea Clinton, for example, she's very political.
Right.
But I mean, even if she were to write this book, it'd be the end of the world if anyone attacked it. So it's just very, very insane. So, and then not only did that happen, there was a big launch for John Oliver's followers who went on Amazon and trashed Charlotte's book on Amazon with like nasty
one-star reviews. Yeah.
Yep.
My gosh. So this should be, in fact, it is. What this is a PR disaster for the LGBT movement. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why no one's framing it that way. Certainly not in the mainstream media. What it would be if the roles were reversed, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say Barack Obama's daughter, Malia, when she's 22 years old, writes a children's book promoting homosexuality, which is objectionable, by the way. I'm totally against children's books about sexuality because it's inherently inappropriate to talk to kids about sex in that kind of way. Mm-hmm. But if she were to do that and a right-wing person, a prominent right-wing person, were to say, here's my parody book about the Obama bunny, and it's about the Obama bunny defending religious liberty. Can you imagine? Everyone on the right would immediately fall in line and lay down and take it and say, oh my goodness, we are so sorry. This is a PR disaster for our Christian movement. We are so ashamed.
Yeah, and not to mention that would be a political act on its own, that book promoting a certain lifestyle. Like that would be political inherently. So even to attack that would still be different, and we would probably still be condemned. But this book, Charlotte Pence's book, is totally apolitical. It has no messaging. It has no propaganda in it. It's none of that. So how it's attacked is just beyond me. Like, if you hate her father, go after her father. What did she do politically? She's not in this line of fire. She's done nothing political, but she still gets attacked because they have so much hatred and intolerance that it doesn't matter. You're marginally attached to someone and your life will be over. We will ruin your book. We will ruin your product.
Right. And here's why I think that people need to get right-wing woke. Because I won't
just appropriate that term. I like it.
Right-wing woke. I just coined it. I'm not going to attack Charlotte Pence, but I do disagree with her take. Because here's the problem. John Oliver is actually a friend of Jerry Seinfeld's. Mm-hmm. And Jerry Seinfeld is very liberal, but he has been moving in the circles, bring about the SJW movement that he now hates. Liberals like Charlotte Pence. I actually would guess that she's more or less a liberal.
Same.
Yeah. People like Charlotte Pence don't realize that they are paving the way for something that will eventually swallow them. Mm-hmm. You know, the old saw about feeding the crocodile so that he'll eat you last.
Right.
It won't work out well for people like that because what she has just done, everyone has been talking about, oh, what a class act Charlotte Pence is, because her response to John Oliver's pro-LGBT attack on a children's book was to say, oh, that's okay, because he's donating to charities as well. Mm-hmm. And I can deal with that. And she's trying to kind of kill him with kindness. Right. And I honestly don't agree with that tactic because it's like the LGBT movement can do no wrong and leftist causes in general can do no wrong. The left can't be wrong when they force the promotion of sodomy and gender changing surgery to children. Mm-hmm. That's totally fine. It's not even a problem that they, in this case, pitted the LGBT movement against rescuing sex slaves, which was the purpose of the funds that she was getting. Yeah. And they also can't do any wrong by attacking a children's book, which is inherently a humorless and unkind thing to do.
Yeah. So I agree with you that we need to be more aggressive. So for instance, when Mike Pence and the right in general, alternative media, right-wing media, went after The View host Joy Behar for her anti-Christian bigotry, they pressed and they were like, we're going to boycott, like threatening to not watch that station anymore, what have you. She ended up having to apologize. It worked. She had to personally call Mike Pence and then she had to apologize on air. Win for us. Right. That's the tact we need to take. I think you're right. But where I disagree is that I think Charlotte Pence, as you said too, is a little more liberal. She lives in Hollywood. She wants to be a screenwriter. She probably is fine with gay marriage. So yes, this is her dad. At the same time, I think she's in this environment. She's not outwardly political. So I can speculate as to what she is, but she's not a very political person from what she's done. So does it make sense for her to get very political and push back in that sort of way? I would argue no. I would argue no, especially if she's in Hollywood and she wants to be a screenwriter and et cetera. It's probably not a good move for her career. And she probably agrees with gay marriage anyhow. So, but the larger issue is, should the right push back? Of course, because it has worked. And I don't like the timid approach as President Trump has showed us. And as how you mentioned earlier, George W. Bush just kind of taking the high road sort of thing doesn't work. You need to push back. So I'm all for pushback, but I don't think I'm going to lay that at Charlotte Pence's feet.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I guess the thing is that I would say, I'm not going to say that it's incumbent upon Charlotte to do this. But at the same time, like I was just recently watching Wet Hot in American Summer, the comedy, which is hysterically funny. But it's made by liberals and it's unmistakable. The villains in this show are literally Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and the bad guys are all very clearly white Protestant male conservatives.
Right.
And it's very, very clear. And I'm like, this is a funny show, but we've gotten to the point where the left has been so aggressive in the culture wars that the norm is leftism. And it's in a show and you don't even think about it. And if you were to make another show where the bad guys were Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, people would be like, what are you doing getting political? Stop it. Wait, you guys do it all the time.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
So
they're so aggressive. We need to be the same way, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm one of those rare conservatives. I know my boss, Ben Shapiro, is pretty against boycotts and such, but I'm pretty for them. If you don't like something on TV and you don't want your children to be indoctrinated with that nonsense, don't support it. Don't watch shows that push messages you don't agree with. I don't understand the purpose of that. Like, I understand there's art and there's things to appreciate that you don't necessarily have to agree with on all lines. Like, for instance, if I don't agree with an actor's personal politics, that doesn't necessarily matter to me. But if the show is pushing propaganda that I don't agree with, I am not going to watch that. And I would encourage others to do the same. So it's not so much their personal politics, it's the messaging that we should really push back against, if it's through a boycott or just voicing our concern. I think that sort of thing is important. And call out their bigotry. Don't just sit back and, let them smack you across the face. Like,
and honestly, I mean, like in the case of Marlon Bundo, Charlotte, again, it's not incumbent upon her. But if I were in her shoes, what I would recommend is I would say, look, I didn't do anything political. You're the one that's doing the political thing. And when I push back against you, I'm not being political. I'm refusing politics. I'm refusing your politics. Get your politics out of my face. And stop trying to press it into the faces of children. Just get lost.
I would love that response. And I mean, I would be pretty darn passive aggressive and nasty if I was in her shoes, especially because they're attacking my father. Like, there's no way I would just say what she said. And that's fine. She might be a better person than I am, but there's no way in heck I would just kind of sit back and take that. Yeah. I would push back, just as you're saying, even if I were apolitical, which I don't know what reality that would be, but
well, Amanda, I don't know anything about your dad, but I really would love to vote for him for president just to make sure that you're the first daughter. I think that would be a great idea.
He's way smarter than I am and way more political, so that's a good choice.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again, Amanda, for this analysis, and I look forward to having you on again soon. And do let us know when you come out with your children's book.
Oh, will do. It'll be full of propaganda. I can't wait.
All right. Thanks again, Amanda.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for listening to this interview from episode 26 of the Catholic Vote Radio Hour. Again, you can like and subscribe to the Catholic Vote Radio Hour on YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play. I'm your host, Stephen Harriott.
On your mind, oh yeah, baby.